Everyone, Mav here. We're just about ready to start the show, but I'm just confirming a little information that dropped today before we run with it. Hello, British government. How may I help you today? Yeah, hi, this is Marvin Movie Monster from Tooney Town Wrestling. Just reaching out to get the accurate turnstile count for AEW All In at Wembley Stadium a little over a week ago. Oh, yes, what a splendid event. It did so wonderfully. Let's see. Ah, yes, the AEW event had a capacity crowd of 94,871 people in attendance. What? That doesn't sound right, and it's definitely not what I heard today. Well, Mr. Monster, was it? Might I suggest you check your sources more often? You're likely getting information from bots controlled by the evil WWE. Wait, isn't your government working with the WWE to bring WrestleMania to the country? Oh, heavens no. Why would we ever do that when we already have AEW All In, the premier pro wrestling show of all time? We don't need or want something as unrefined as WrestleMania in our fair London. It would be an insult to the Queen's memory. You mean like having Mercedes Moné come out in a golden carriage dressed as the Queen with corgis at her side just before the 2-year anniversary of the Queen's death? Oh, that was just a spot of good fun, and you're being a negative Nancy boy. You need to be a positive Nancy boy, like most of our citizens. Wait, you're calling your citizens Nancy boys? We have many more pressing calls to take, so please just tell your audience that the real number is 98,718, as I said. Wait, but you just said 94,871. Oh, my mistake, I had read that wrong. The higher number is the correct one. See, I heard it was actually 46,476. Oh, heavens no. Why, that would be nearly half of last year's totally real attendance number, and that would be utterly humiliating for Tooney Khan, a man who takes more stick than anyone, and is only trying to look out for real pro wrestling. Wait, Tooney, is that you? No, of course not. Oh, that would be a jolly good row, wouldn't it? No, I'm just a simple British government man here, doing the work of king, country, and real pro wrestling. Time Cop sucks.
You take that back, you orange egg sucking. Oh boy.
Hi, Tooney.
Hey.
You want to tell me the real number?
No, I do not.
All right, well, we're going to talk about it on the next Headlock Headlines.
Oh, do we have to?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Now let's get started with Tooney Talk Wrestling. All right, it is Tuesday night in Tooney Town, and you know what that means. It is time for the fastest rising pro wrestling live stream podcast on the internet today. It is time for Tooney Talk Wrestling. Folks, my name is Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster, and sorry, no camera for me tonight. We're having some issues at the house, and yeah, I've had no air conditioning since Saturday, so yeah, not to give you guys too much info on boring things that are happening in my life, but yeah, definitely not camera ready today. But you know who is camera ready? My good friend and co-host, Mr. Kevin Apollo.
Always, brother. So I have a quick anecdote for you.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So while we were getting ready to go live on Saturday, and in between not wanting to watch Miss Rachel, I was flipping around the YouTubes, and I found a cache of live feeds, or rather, recordings of live feeds from 80s cartoons. And I watched an episode of Inspector Gadget. And in this episode, Dr. Claw had gotten Gadget to go to some jungle somewhere, and he hired this scientist to create a disease. And it was and the name of the disease was jungle fever. And throughout the entire episode, Dr. Claw kept saying, "I can't wait to give Gadget jungle fever." And every time he said it, I laughed hysterically, like I was a 12-year-old. That is
that is a fantastic anecdote and a great way to start off the show. Folks, also joining us this week, our good friend, the one and only from Maxed Out Media, the master of Lost Media, the one and only Dis, aka AEW Disciplinary Committee.
Hi.
What's going on, buddy?
Not much. When Kev was talking about finding a feed, I got excited because my new obsession is watching satellite feeds of early 2000s WWE TV shows on YouTube. There's a bunch of them out there, and get to see all the dark matches and in between matches. That's some fun stuff, man. If you haven't watched any of that, I seen some of the next years.
You know what? I am super thrilled today because joining us back from the dead, the one and only New Jack.
What's happening, everybody?
Oh, it's
Can I curse like New Jack?
No, you may not, sir. Not this early in the show, especially. No, awful to celebrate 10,000 people on X that have chosen to follow you. You have chosen to go on camera tonight, my friend.
I did. As people can plainly see, I am not the dude in the Hawaiian shirt, nor am I the gentleman. I don't know who, some of these trolls out here,
you New Jack.
Yeah.
You look weirdly like New Jack. Now say, "I'm gonna beat them like they my kids." That was my favorite New Jack promo. I saw that one live. But joining us this week, guys, I am super, super excited. We have got a special guest. He's been on the show before, but every time he comes on the show is even better than the last time he was here. From the world of, he's a columnist for Forbes, and he is the head of ProWrestlingBits on YouTube, the one and only Alfred Konuwa.
What's going on, guys? What's this I hear about jungle fever?
Apparently, Dr. Claw wants to give it to Inspector Gadget, and then he'll be inspecting some gadgets, I assume, after that.
Oh, yeah. Some gadgets with braids, I'll tell you that.
What a great night. Marv, we're at the cookout. We made it, buddy.
We made it. See Awful. I love the fact that Awful doxed himself in order to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. It's awesome.
I know, right? We've had Awful's face on our on his face is the worst kept secret in the world. We've had it on our, we've had it a couple times. Yeah, we've had it on our logo for forever. He's just kind of popping up there outside, under the bottom. People probably thought it was New Jack, but it's not. It was not New Jack. It was Awful all along. But we've got a couple of super chats to get to before we jump in. Colin Taylor for $10 didn't enunciate well, and my DVR accidentally recorded Bash and Berlin, a CNN Europe morning show starring Dana Bash and Alex Wright. No. was still better than the Mimosa Mayhem match. I love you, Colin. You're the best. Not just because you give us money, but because you always say something clever that makes me laugh. Also, guys, John JID 999 checking in for $9.99 says, "Glad you're all here to make sense of all this BS in wrestling. What do you all think about NXT's current trajectory? And with Cena back, I know it probably won't happen. Did we finally get the fabled Cena heel turn? I think that there's no way in hell you get that Cena heel turn. It's never going to happen, nor should it happen. The next year has got to just be a celebration of John Cena until he's done." And have we ever seen this before in wrestling? I mean, with Flair, we all knew WrestleMania was the end point. But they still had the gimmick of like, oh, if you lose a match, you're fired. But like, we didn't like. There was still that whole mystique around it. This is the first time I think we've ever been like, oh, okay, hey, we have one calendar year of John Cena. Like he ends in December. Is this the first time? I think.
I'm going through my head and I can't. Flair has to be the closest
Yeah, I think Flair's the closest. I mean, they're kind of doing it with Bryan Danielson, but that's not really been decided that it's going to be a year farewell tour. But yeah, I think this might be the first of its kind with John Cena.
Cena buried Bryan Danielson again, didn't he? Bryan Danielson was like, "Oh, I have maybe 6 months or so," and then Cena's like, "I'm retiring," and nobody cares about Bryan Danielson anymore.
Well, because Danielson's not actually going to retire, you know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I love that my daddy is going to retire. Yeah, oh yeah, but don't you want him to go to Japan? Don't you want to see the Tokyo Dome, little girl? Yeah. No, Dave. No, she doesn't. She wants her father to walk. Good Lord. What do you guys think about the trajectory of NXT currently? Alfred, have you been keeping up with NXT?
Oh, absolutely. I love NXT. I think it's in a great place right now. Obviously, NXT, since its beginning, has had ebbs and flows. We remember great times like the early days, the black and gold era, where it was kind of like the Wild West. And it was like the sing-along territory where you got the vaudevillains and Ascension, and everybody had their own cool gimmick where the crowd would get into it. Then you had like the bright-colored era where NXT 2.0 Vince took, over. We don't have to talk too much about that. We've had the black and gold era, which was good. And then now I think we're back on a high period with NXT where I think they're doing a good job storyline wise. You see, obviously, a lot of these wrestlers have deficiency, but you see the promise. There's a lot of super athletes in developmental. And this is going to be this is the next wave of what wrestling is going to be. It's going to be all these tremendous athletes doing things that we've never seen before. And also they're going to have this experience mixed in with storyline. So I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree. I think NXT is in a great place. I think Shawn was the guy to do it. And if Punk is the next guy to do it, then I think we're good for quite a while. Let's see. John JID 999 for 199 also says Tooney Khan is such a child. I love it. Too funny. Glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys like the cold opens for these shows. I thought it was a nice way to inject a little bit of everything into the videos. And now we're doing daily drops 5 days a week at least. Of clips from the show sandwiched between two original puppet sketches. So tomorrow's is going to be it's up on Patreon right now, but it's us talking about the Mercedes Moné Britt Baker match, and it's sandwiched between a sketch between myself and Mercedes Moné calling in to sing songs off her new album. So
I like them. I wish they hadn't taken the place of headlock headlines, but I get why you had to do it.
Stop it.
Bro.
Don't even put that evil out into the world.
You already did.
It does not. Because every time I do something different, every time I try something new, everybody's like, oh, so no more headlock headlines? No, this is not instead of, this is in addition to. The headlock headlines just take a very long... Alfred, back me up here. It takes a very long time to write original scripts and then shoot them yourself, edit them yourself, promote them yourself. It takes the headlock headlines alone takes me about 2 to 3 days of work, of just working on nothing else but that. So when I don't...
But it's a grind, man.
Yeah,
Will Ospreay would never.
No, way too much work for him. Way too much for him. John Williams for $4.99. This one's for Kev. He says, "Hey Kevin, how much of Tooney's dad's money will it take for you to do the JOB to Orange Cassidy?"
Ooh,
not a lot.
Ooh, good question.
Not a lot.
not a lot. You've jobbed to worse for less.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have put over many a no talent had no business being there people for $20. So just beat that and I'm good.
Yeah.
Hot dog and a soda, brother. I'm good. I don't ask for much.
Hot dog and a handshake.
You're
buying your own soda. The BT23 for $2 says, if number was correct for All In, don't see 40K in Texas. I still think they'll hit 40K in Texas. We're gonna get to that in a minute. BT23. I just want to get through the rest of the super chats, and then we're gonna focus in on that. But Andre Adams checking in. Apollo's Comic-Con / Sailor Moon story is the greatest and most terrifying thing I've ever heard. Was that on this show or was that on Tooney Town TV?
That's there's another part to that story that I forgot that I could still tell. It involved.
You want to save it? You want to save it for Thursday?
It involved Adam the Black Ranger.
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling, so we save it for Tooney Talk TV. But Andre, I'm glad to hear that you were watching over there. So thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it. Craig Churchill, I'm seeing triple 6 Booker T's. But before anyone thinks that Craig is racist, it's my running joke on the Headlock headlines is that Triple H thinks every black person is Booker T. So Joseph J. Alexander for $5. Hey Alfred, with Bianca and Jade being tag champs again, is Triple H still racist?
Boy, do I love the whole that he took the time to do the trolling, capital, not capital, capital, lowercase.
I know.
I will dignify this with the responses. I've never outright said Triple H is a racist. I've only said he struggles booking black talent, and you could see the dichotomy between him and Shawn Michaels, where Shawn Michaels is basically at the cookout every Tuesday, whereas Triple H is at a pickleball court. So it's two different things for two different people. But I will say, you know, we're going to talk about Odyssey Jones, I'm sure, but I do think that Triple H was kind of coming around with this New Day storyline. I thought it was a nothing storyline for so long, but recently, in recent weeks, the story they've told between Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, I think has kind of got me back and intrigued me. But yes, it has always been a weakness of Triple H in terms of booking black talent. And that's fine. Nobody's saying that he hates black people or anything like that. It's just a blind spot, like how everybody has blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out, Counselor.
Yeah, I think that the winky face shows that he was saying it in jest.
Yeah, of course.
He is
kind of like a nudge, but
he is far better at it than Vince McMahon was.
Yes.
Oh yes. Yes.
Well,
when the pandemic,
I don't know, man.
Vince was booking the Source Awards. So
Okay, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about in terms of the amount of black people that he is booking. I'm talking about the quality of booking behind those black people.
He booked Kofi Mania.
The Nation when it first started was incredible. Up till they, the Rock, D'Lo, Mark Henry version.
I think that Vince leans very heavy into stereotypes, right? And I think Triple H pulls way back on stereotypes, and I think Shawn Michaels is right in that sweet spot. Right in that spot where it's like you do a little, just enough to get over with everybody, but not just with everybody. You know what I mean? Like Triple H tries to keep this ethnicity out of booking as much as possible, and HBK leans into it a little bit more, and I think he found the sweet spot with it. So
you would have never gotten somebody. You would have never got somebody like Jada Parker, for example.
Yes,
to be Jada Parker with Vince McMahon at the helm. I mean, she is doing a phenomenal job in her character, in her role as a professional wrestler. I mean, but it's Jada Parker is what Sasha Banks and black female wrestler could and should have been.
Awful is cutting in and out. Alfred, you were about to say something there?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I really like the fact that there's a spectrum of blackness in NXT. I will say that you do just get to see black people be themselves. It does not feel like a stereotype. When I see Trick Williams, that feels like Trick Williams. That's who he is, you know? He, came from the South and he was an athlete, and then he's just this cool talking, athletic guy. But then you see somebody like Kalani Jordan, she was a gymnast and she sounds more kind of clean cut or whatnot. Then you see somebody like Jada Parker, and she sounds like she's from the hood and she came up as a hood chick. So you see the different spectrum of blackness, and you see different ways of being black. And that's all I ever asked for in terms of how black people are booked. So I don't think that it's leaning into any stereotypes. It's just, let's just put people on TV and let them be who they are. And they just happen to be black.
I worded it poorly. I don't think I meant to say they were leaning into it, but I think Triple H intentionally avoided it for a while.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying in terms of NXT though.
Yeah.
As a writer, I've always said, I always point back to this thing that George R.R. Martin said, about Game of Thrones, which was stop asking me when it's coming out. No, I'm kidding. It is when somebody asked him about like the female characters in his books, they're like, "Oh, you write such strong female characters. They're so great and three-dimensional." He goes, "Yeah, I do this really radical thing with female characters. I write them like they're people." And that's really what it comes down to when you're writing any character, whether they're white, they're black, they're male, they're female, they're straight, they're gay, they're human beings. And you got to let them be human beings and not caricatures. And that's how good characters are formed. Samurai Sam for $2 says, "Can we get a from Dave Schmeltzer?" Sure. Hold on. There you go. A little prolonged one, just because I didn't know. Usually I will like lower the pitch a little bit when I do Dave Schmelzer, but you guys are getting it unrefined. Producer Neckbeard, wise man in the chat, man in the chat down there says, "What would Alfred know? I listen to David Bixenspan."
The number one source in incel news.
Oh, just such an edgelord, right? So let's get started. I guess you know what I want to start. I want to open with the Odyssey Jones conversation because it's kind of taken social media by storm. So what happened was Odyssey Jones's bio was removed from the WWE website, and I guess he was not on Monday Night Raw. And all of a sudden, it was it started to come out from Fightful that he might have been released due to domestic abuse issues, or domestic assault. I'm not sure if there's really a I'm not sure if there's a difference between domestic abuse and domestic assault, but yeah, if true, that's pretty messed up. And good. I don't know if it was recent, if it was 20 years ago. We don't know. And it, there was no arrest. There was no report about it being done. We just kind of have Fightful's word for it. But here's my thing. I don't think SAP runs with something that damning and potentially libelous if he's not getting it from a valuable source. So, Alfred, what did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, everybody has their day in court. I'm not going to rush to judgment and say that he did or didn't do anything like this. I just thought it was very bizarre when he all of a sudden disappeared in the middle of a big push. You knew there was a big story behind it, so much so that I started thinking, well, maybe this is part of the breakup they're doing, because Xavier Woods even commented on it on Twitter. They didn't say his name on TV, but on Twitter, I believe, I think he said, like, it has nothing to do with me or something like that. So it's really horrifying if any of this is true. Obviously, domestic violence is something that's been in wrestling now pretty prominently for the past couple of weeks. If you look at the Nikki Bella situation, which is kind of scary in terms of those allegations. So I want Odyssey to have his day in court. I want to believe it's not true, but you've got to let this case play out, and it's really become a really big story. So it's unfortunate because I did think he was kind of the secret ingredient to this New Day storyline taking off. And now real life stuff is getting in the way. So we're going to see what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Dis.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, until I see something, and this isn't me saying that I don't believe reports or that I think he's innocent. This is me saying that I am not going to say anything definite about this situation until I see a police report, until something happens, because there's so much miscommunication. And the thing about him being taken off the roster page, the Wyatts were taken off the roster page a week ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, and Xavier Woods wasn't on Raw last night because he was at Dragon Con. So it's always possible that they skip the New Day stuff for a week because they knew Xavier wasn't going to be there. So they were saving it for the season finale. We just don't know. And to jump on something like that, and like I said, I'm not going to take any specific reporters to task, but I do know that this is an era where you are constantly trying to get the early report. You're trying to break news. You're trying to get that as fast as possible. And it has become a bit sloppier in the past few years. So
if this were Meltzer, I would be 100% on board with what you're saying. I don't think SAP does that.
But
you could say what you want about him personally, but I've always felt that he's not always rushing to be the first one to the gate. He's rushing to be the first one who's correct.
True.
Because very often Meltzer will rush to the gate with something crazy, like we saw in Dave Meltzer's worst week ever a couple weeks ago, and then SAP will be the one that corrects him, which makes him look better.
And part of me having a little bit of doubt is that SAP even said himself, this has not been corroborated by WWE. They had no talent has spoken to him on this matter, so they don't know anything about it. So he said, I received a report about this. I'm looking more into it. I just don't like the fact that the internet completely ran with it, and now the guy's guilty before getting anything done.
Yeah. Right. That's what I don't want to do. And that's what I don't like seeing. That's the Twitter era.
Yeah. And we've seen WWE is very, how can I talk about this without giving up something I shouldn't be giving up? WWE is very cautious about claims and complaints and arrests. They do their due diligence before they terminate. They may, if something happens, they will make you disappear, let legal handle it, tell you to keep your mouth shut. And then if they think it's okay, they'll put you back on. And if not, hey, sorry, we got to release you. Go over here to rehab yourself, and if you feel like it gets better and you're doing better, we can talk in the future. Because things like this do get blown up. I mean, we saw, listen, this isn't new. We had Jake Atlas and Duke Hudson not, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, unfortunately, the Nikki Bella situation, we don't have 100% clarity on that. I think this is the internet and the IWC doing what they do. They're like rabid dogs in a bone. We're blowing it up. We have no information yet. We got nothing. I didn't even know there was an Odyssey Jones issue until an hour and a half ago. And then I just kind of like, well, yeah, people pop off of the roster page all the time because you don't know what they're updating. So I don't know. It's one of those like, let's just chill out, see what's happening. If there's no 911 call, especially TMZ is a nefarious organization. They pay people to give up their 911 tapes. So if there was no 911 call, I find it really doubtful that unless it was something horrific, that this is something that happened in the past. It could be anything. I don't know what state he lives in. So, you could be a state like Florida where if someone makes a phone call, the domestic charge is automatic. Like you just don't know. You just don't know. So I think everybody needs to be patient, cool out, and let's see what's going on.
I saw a couple of tweets. Go ahead, Marv.
Go ahead, Awful.
I saw a couple tweets that actually pinned another person who had Odyssey Jones' real government name, and they were like, it's the wrong guy. This is somebody else, and that's how fast, and that's how, I guess, to put it lightly, that's how ignorant the internet is as far as like getting the story out there and getting it wrong. But apparently it may be true. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it certainly might. At the same time, we had the Nikki Bella situation, which obviously we're still getting information about. But the weirdest thing about the Nikki Bella situation was Meltzer's report on it.
Yeah,
because Meltzer felt the need to point out in his report that Nikki Bella was very complimentary of the AEW women's division just a week ago. In what universe is that the right place or time to try to put over AEW?
I thought it was Photoshop. I had to go back and check like 3 times to make sure.
I had to test it so many times because I was like, there's no way this is real. This could not possibly be real.
The dancers Dancing with the Stars are not very fond of AEW, and that is what I've been told.
The whole thing was an argument about the quality of AEW. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's funny.
That's just how Dave's mind works. He starts with wrestling, particularly AEW first, then he just works backwards no matter what it is.
Yeah, I cannot fathom the way this man's mind works. I mean, with the way that he ran, falsely, falsely stating that Alpha had died a whole day before he died. Jacob Fatu and Roman are not going to touch each other yet, and they immediately do.
Oh yeah,
it's just constant. It's constant.
The internal memo.
Oh, the internal memo that ended up
being a
how about
that
post from somebody who doesn't even work for Warner Brothers. Alfred, I got to commend you, buddy, because you epically summed all of this up on Forbes. We actually read the article on the show a couple weeks ago. Man,
I appreciate that.
You nailed him to the wall on that one. That was and you did it without agenda. You did it without opinion. You just stated the facts, and the facts damned him, and that's journalism.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been able to be published if it wasn't just, the facts, the color. I kind of did a similar thing on Pro Wrestling Bits, but there's more jokes and more levity there. But with the Forbes article, I'm just laying out, this is what Dave has done. This is what he's gotten wrong. And it's just undeniable, even down to the fact that he got a segment between The Rock and Triple H confused from 10 years ago, when he was reporting on it in the newsletter as if it had happened at the press conference. Like, this man, I don't want to make light of this, but I do think that he might be developing early signs of dementia.
It's very possible. I mean, hold on. I'm pulling up the article right now just because I want people to be able to see, where it is. This was Alfred's article. Dave Meltzer's internal memo gaffe caps a week of faulty reporting. So I mean, yeah, it's all right here, and you sum it up so perfectly. I was very, very impressed with you know, the way you just got everything perfect in this article. Because
I appreciate that.
because it was just such a weird. Of course, it was just such a weird thing. Speaking of weird things, did you guys see that GIF or video that popped up recently of Dave Meltzer like interacting with Kenny Omega on a wrestling show and like reacting the way a baby reacts when they see Blue's Clues come on the TV?
I've never seen a baby stick out their tongue like that, to be fair.
It was the weirdest, and like everyone's like, "Whoa, you're gonna like get on the guy for being a fan." No, he's a professional journalist who covers these people and grades them in supposed to be an unbiased way. You can't tell me that that's unbiased when you saw that.
Yeah,
and
it's funny that footage, or at least the part of him like waving his hands, that's been out for years. Like but I've never seen the full footage. So I think it was from like a DVD from back in the day, and they are able to get like the full clip. But that whole clip of him just like Kenny Omega just kind of says, "Hey, the bias is alive and real," and Dave's out there giggling like a little schoolgirl. It was ridiculous.
Oh, I found it. I'm gonna share it real quick. This is shared from our buddy Phil Marks from Pro Wrestle Times. Was the one that first shared it. But yeah, look at this. So here's Omega.
There he is, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah,
the first time.
For everyone. The man that made 6 stars, the man that made 6.25 stars.
Look at him. Look at him.
Effing melts.
He's here just to show everyone that the bias is alive and real. There he is.
That is not how
the first time.
That is not how normal human beings react to other normal human beings. It's just not so weird. I mean, yes, the tongue thing though is absolutely like it really makes me think there's some kind of autistic spectrum disorder. I'm not going to diagnose him, but like it's all pretty like textbook. It would make a lot of sense. I don't know, man. He is just out of control. His credibility has tanked. He is just a laughing stock. It's what Bischoff says. He's a clown at this point.
And by the way, let's make it very clear. Saying that he might be on the spectrum is not an insult in any way, because people seem to take it that way. My son, Max, who is on here all the time, is on the spectrum, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's benefits to it, but that's just an observation that we're noticing. So
you know what's going to happen now, because you guys put this out in the air. He's going to pop up on TikTok in 3 weeks and self-diagnose himself. I used to be obsessed with star ratings, but I just found out that I'm actually autistic.
Oh, God.
Leave him alone.
Oh no.
I wouldn't be surprised, and to this point, like being on the spectrum in his way, like one of the reasons I would believe that is because of how productive he is with that Wrestling Observer newsletter. I mean, if you don't know, he recently went to London and came back, had like 2 days to put together the newsletter. And I will say somewhat impressively, he did put the whole entire thing together in the span of 2 days. And that just takes like an insane level of focus, which that happens with autistic people. It's just the only thing that we need to see is that Wrestling Observer newsletter logo would turn into a train. Then I would be certain that.
Autism.
Oh, sorry. His level of production, honestly, I think has been part to his downfall. Right, he has so much data, so much content to crank out that he actually doesn't have time to vet it. And then you couple that with, when AEW first kind of became a thing, Tony's a wonder boy and all that stuff, and you're like, well, bro, he hasn't done anything. How's he a wunderkind? Like, what are you talking about? Like, nothing he was doing passed the smell test. And now every time he makes a mistake, you gotta pounce, you gotta jump on it. He doesn't help himself and he doesn't endear himself to anybody, especially even on Twitter, because he still has a remarkable amount of time to respond to almost every single person about whatever it is that comes across his plate. So it is fascinating. I wouldn't be shocked that there's some kind of mania, not so much autism, but just mania that drives him.
Well, for a while I've actually been playing with the idea of putting a floppy like red tongue in the sock puppet's mouth. that would just like fly all over the place, like Hush Puppy from Lamb Chop that just like flops all over the place while he talks. But then I'm like, this thing might actually be wrong with the guy. Like, I don't like it's so weird. But I think I'm gonna do it because it's too good not to do.
The Observer, read along.
It's Meltzer's Star Along. But the okay, so speaking of things that people lie about, the Turnstile numbers were revealed today for AEW All In. Now, Meltzer reported, I believe, a while back that the numbers were somewhere around, what did he say, 56 or 58,000 people in that arena? Like,
it wasn't Meltzer. It wasn't
no,
Meltzer.
Meltzer was throwing that number around because he was saying that Tony shouldn't be embarrassed by it. It was still
right, because it was WrestleTick's number. They were the ones who reported the number. Meltzer parroted it. There were some other people that brought it up to 60,000 somehow, which I didn't see Meltzer do. So I'm going to give him credit for that.
That wasn't the case.
No.
As reported, and by the way, as reported by Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, which
our good
is,
friend.
Good. Yeah, big friend of the show, big friend of certain people on the show. The Turnstile count for AEW All In, for AEW All 2024 was 46,476. We've confirmed, indicating the number of tickets used for admission. WrestleTix's last estimate of tickets distributed was 53,385, which are sales and comps. Over 50,000 tickets were sold, according to Tony Khan last week. So, either Tony Khan lied, or British ticket scalpers had a very hard time turning these tickets around.
Wait. Say that number again.
It was 46,476.
Wow.
Yeah. There's also a third option, which is that a lot of people had to buy 2 seats because they weren't small enough to have only one. They had to take up 2 seats.
Many of them. With these AEW shows, because the fans feel like they're part of some kind of movement, I feel like they'll buy tickets and then not go.
Not in the
They'll
UK.
buy tickets just to support. But I mean, American fans could have bought tickets to go to for the show in the UK. It's not like it was specifically just for people in the UK. But still, I mean, if you want to look at the numbers from last year, I mean, 70-something thousand was the real number, and 80-something thousand was his fake number that Will Ospreay then branded onto his flesh. But guys, that's almost like they lost so many people from last year. And I don't want to hear that it's the Taylor Swift stage. Taylor Swift packed 90,000 people into there.
Yeah,
that's the most ridiculous argument. And you had plenty of time to remove Taylor Swift's stage. Instead, they used it and they used it as part of their set. And then they're like, oh, this is perfect. Now we can blame the low ticket sales on this too. I knew there was no way that was 54,000 people in that arena when I was watching that show. There were too many tops. There were so many empty seats. There were red seats everywhere. Guys, is Tony lying? Or did British scalpers have a bad time? Or did Tony buy them himself? Awful wrestling. I feel like you've got an opinion on this.
He's dead.
I would love to hear it, but you're frozen. You're frozen and muted.
His feet has been cut.
How about that?
There he is.
How about now?
There you are.
But
now you are.
Yeah, listen, he didn't. I don't know if he bought 10,000 tickets, but I do know he lied about the number and said that they sold 50,000 tickets. So I think that's where all the other pundits got their number from Tony Khan himself. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of people that were coping, going, it's still a phenomenal number. Yeah, okay. How about you have $80,000 and I take away $26,000. Is that still phenomenal? You know what I mean? Like, come on now. It's a terrible number. It's a downgrade from last year. It had good business is, scaling, bringing an attendance and the number and the revenue
exactly
up. And it's not a success. That's it.
You don't want to see attenuation in business year over year. And you're going to make, now if he had run a different building in a different part of the world and just, it was a much different show than last year, nobody would have made the comparison, because you don't compare what WrestleMania does one year to what WrestleMania does the next year. But he made it a point to run around the same time of year in the same exact building. And what happened
with his golden boy.
Well, this is what happens when delusion crashes into reality. Last year, the UK had, I can't say it enough, the UK had some of the most restrictive and damning COVID laws. You couldn't fart without being potentially going to jail. And they had nothing to do for 2.5 years. They don't get big sporting events in Europe like how we have it here. They would have gone to anything. Marv, you could have shown up with the Meltzer puppet on your hand, and you would have gotten at least 80,000 people in that arena. So we're gonna go back because we didn't care. And then it was like, well, we didn't care about this garbage last year. We're not dropping money for it this year, and they got smacked for it. You're only a 5-year-old company. There is no reason that anybody with you could have gotten your business degree from Acme University, for God's sakes. You should understand that your company should not be in a retrenchment phase. They should be experiencing robust growth for a minimum of the next 3 years, and then maybe level off while they try to get a feel for it. The WWE is doing record-breaking numbers. The TNA is starting to see growth. MLW has seen a little bit of growth. Everybody is experiencing something that vaguely resembles an upward trend. This company is withering in front of our very eyes, and they just want to keep it on going. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here, like Leslie Nielsen and Naked Gun when the fireworks factory is blowing up.
And I will point out, Neil Biggs did say there were 2 sold out FA Cups before All In, which, they do get some large sporting events, but wrestling, they don't get large wrestling events there. And I think that's, if you were a wrestling fan in the UK, you wanted to go to this because
I'll put it to you like
it was.
Sorry. In the States, we have, doesn't matter really where you are, you have within probably a 2 mile with a 2-hour driving radius, there is multiple things to do every night in this country all year round. That is either a major sporting event, a major concert, whatever it is.
Right.
They don't have that way in Europe. So when things come around, it is a big deal. And then again, football is football in Europe.
Football is live.
It took the place of the Bloody Crusades. So yes, of course, people are going to that instead of going to wrestling.
I mean, to be fair, the only big thing I have going on around me is Barry Manilow. But that's another story.
Oh, you're going, right?
I'm thinking it's his last tour, man. Last time we get a shot. So
you have to. Oh,
I have a question.
Maybe he'll bring you on stage and be like, "Oh, disciplinary, you came and you gave without taking." I look for an excuse to sing, man.
It's a pretty good Barry.
Sorry, I'm very awful. What'd you say?
Do we know about the promotional tactics that were used before All In? I know we got a lot of information about that last year, but did they do any? Last year they were talking about, hey, they've got them on the double deck. They've got ads on the double decker bus. There wasn't too much advertising last year. How about this year? Was there a lot of promotion in London for All In? Do we know anything about that?
Everything
what I do know about AEW is that they're very bare bones when it comes to their PR and their promotion. I mean, we all saw them try to sell hamburgers with their tickets allegedly one year, but they're really, obviously, they're not on the level of WWE. But I would say even we're not even on the level of like a WCW in their prime in terms of them getting the promotion together. So I'm sure there was like posters being posted and whatnot, and they did what they could on social media. But in terms of promoting their biggest event of the year, it was very bare bones.
Tony did the thing where he had his soccer teams wear AEW jerseys and say that they are now sponsored by AEW. I saw that. But everything else I saw was focused on Texas because they made that Texas All In announcement and just went full bore on that. It's like they gave up on the UK once they started in Texas. So,
so they're saying that MJF was on some of the UK talk shows.
He was. He dropped my name on one of them, in fact. So,
did he really?
Because with my name tells you how bad the promotion was.
In what regard did he mention your name?
He was on, I think it was Wrestle Talk, and he said something about the Fast National number, because they get mad when the Fast National number leaks. That's right. And I thought it was very entertaining. I loved it. I love being mentioned. He intentionally botched my name. He says Alfred Konuwa or whatever. I'll send you the clip.
So he got racist about it. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say all that. All right.
Man, I'm sure MJ.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. It looks like Awful got his name dropped over on Fightful today.
What?
Did he?
Yeah. Apparently, Andrew Zarian was going off on, according to our chat. Andrew Zarian. We
don't
send that
need
to me in the back chat, my friend.
Okay.
I got to listen.
Yeah. Awful can handle that. Yeah. Awful can handle that on his 10,000 follower Twitter. All right, so the let's move on here. I gotta get to some super chats. They have been building up, and I gotta get these. So hold on. Let's see. Daniel Flores for $1.99 says Kevin Apollo versus Keith Lee.
Okay.
I put my money on you.
Same weight.
I think he's got to outweigh you by now. I mean, he has blown up like a balloon.
He is one of the people who suffered very hard from long COVID. And then he went to AEW and had his soul.
He's also suffered hard. Yeah, he's suffered hard from long Tony booking. It's where you sit at home from. You know what? With long COVID and long Tony booking, you sit at home for the same amount of time. So funny thought about that.
Quarantine.
Chris Connor from Last Call Podcast for $5 says, does Bobby Lashley end up in TNA with MVP? And in 2025, will TNA sign more talent and put more money into the product after the success this year? So I actually might have some insider news for you guys on this one. Now, I don't claim to be a journalist, but I do have my people that talk to me.
Do tell.
I have heard that, first of all, Shane McMahon is a lock for AEW. It's happening. He's gonna be running a stable of former WWE guys to do a takeover angle of AEW.
Yeah,
not to be confused with the takeover angle that the Young Bucks have been doing for the last several months.
that flopped.
Yes. But one of the things that I'm hearing is that Bobby Lashley and MVP will be a part of Shane McMahon's circle in AEW. Look, at the end of the day, if I was Tony Khan and I could get my hands on a McMahon, that's 100% the angle that I'm booking, because that's the end. It just matters. It's just the thing that's terrible. The thing that's terrible is that he's already been doing the we're taking over angle with the Bucks for months and nobody cares. So now you're gonna just redo it with Shane, and I don't know. I think it's gonna be part of the Moxley thing.
Yeah, I still don't think it's going to be. I said this on Sunday. I don't think it's going to be WWE, but I do think it's possible with MMA, because Maria Sharif is in there, that her being involved.
It doesn't have to be all WWE guys.
Yeah, but if you're gonna bring in Shane, why are you gonna have the second person be someone who's not in WWE if it's going to be a WWE? That's true. I guess. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying what I'm. I
just don't know why you would use her after the me.
I don't know why you use your
me.
You know what though, Marv? You know what though? You know who else is out there and who said that she'd be willing to wrestle a part-time schedule and used to be in WWE and is friends with her is Ronda Rousey. So maybe it's possible that she's part of this, and that a part of her thing about coming in was that she had to be part of it too. That's a possibility. I could see that,
that's definitely possible. I don't know. But I mean, when I just can't wait for the hypocrisy of everybody being like, well, Triple H and Stephanie knew all about what Vince McMahon was doing, but clearly Shane was the good one and didn't know anything. Like, that's what, the fact that they're going to allow Shane to walk in the door and give him a hero as well, they would welcome Steph like that too, if Steph walked in there.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, I think Thanksgiving might be a little awkward in the McMahon household. Well, more awkward than it would be with Vince being there, but with Shane working for the competition. But Shane. By the way, isn't it kind of weird that like Shane McMahon has spawned like the next generation of NFL players? Like all his kids are like these elite athletes.
Right.
Yeah.
His son. Absolutely. His son.
Well, maybe that's part of the deal. Maybe part of the deal is for his sons to come in and be wrestlers if it doesn't work out with the NFL.
I was going to say that it's going to be really funny when Shane McMahon is working in AEW for Tony and his kids are on developmental deals in WWE.
I was about to say, there's no way that Shane's kids wouldn't get immediate developmental deals.
Yeah.
What would compel Shane to become a part of AEW? Seriously, like
because Triple H won't let him wrestle and Tony will. That's it.
I'm not shocked.
Like rebellion.
Shane has always kind of proven himself to be a fan of everything else that's going on. So you give it, you stick it to everybody else who pushed you out the door, didn't give you a moment of glory. But at the same time, too, how much room is there to make wrestling history? Yeah. There's a cool opportunity. I'm sure there has to be some kind of a back end deal. Because why would he bother wasting his time? Like you said, he's smart enough to not do this for nothing. And how much?
But
more
he's also 54 years old.
Yes.
That's the big thing.
I'm going to say really quickly, this idea represents everything that's wrong with AEW and everything AEW does not need right now. Older stars from the past, stars who were made in other companies that did not come from AEW, and ex-WWE stars during a time where WWE is hot. So you run the risk of just like the NWO, which was great early, but what happened with the NWO is people thought that heel stable was cooler than WCW. With AEW ice cold and WWE red hot, anything associated with WWE could be perceived as cooler if they put him over enough, especially Jon Moxley, Shane McMahon being fresh and new. You could make AEW look like a really lame company as if they needed the help.
Well, that's it. Shane cut a better promo than 90% of that roster.
Well,
so, they're going to come out and they're going to crap all over AEW. They're going to say everything that, they're going to say a lot of things that people on Twitter say about AEW. Unfortunately, though, I don't see the casuals coming over to check out AEW like they did to check out Nitro. I remember when Razor and when National Hall were on at the same time, I was flipping through the channels because I was at my mother's house and I put it on Nitro because I thought I was watching Raw.
Yeah.
Because Razor and Diesel were in the ring. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is Nitro. And I stayed on Nitro. So that's not happening for AEW. No. It's just not.
AEW isn't, bringing in Shane McMahon a year and change after he tore his quad at WrestleMania is far different than bringing over Kevin Nash just a few weeks after he was on Raw. Mm-hmm. People like Shane McMahon isn't, people don't care enough about Shane McMahon. He's not even people's favorite McMahon. That's Stephanie. So he's kind of the jokey McMahon that everyone got tired of a few years ago. This would be like if WCW brought in Gorilla Monsoon in '95 or something. It's like, okay, cool, Jack Tunney, yeah. It's like, yeah, okay, it's cool, that's neat, but I'm not going to keep watching,
Shane showing up on AEW could be an all-time moment if they handled it correctly. I just have no faith that they'd actually handle it correctly.
I have to wonder if this is a case where Shane goes, shut up and we'll handle it. Because, we know Tony is not a booker. Tony is a fantasy matchmaker.
Well, again, Shane's going to walk in there and he's going to say, all right, I'm calling my own shots, just like everyone else has, just like Moxley did, just like Jericho did, just like Mercedes did. They're all calling their own shots, booking their own stuff. Cody booked his own stuff. The Bucks booked their own stuff. Omega books his own stuff. And that's why the show feels like it's written by 10 different people, all with conflicting ideas. It's why nothing flows into each other.
Yeah,
Well, apparently
27. And let's not forget that the last time Shane booked anything, it was himself to win the Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania. Okay.
And he also did that underground show, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, by the
Raw
way,
Underground.
that whole shit that Shane booked himself to win wanted to win the Royal Rumble and then wanted to dominate the Royal Rumble to the point where he pissed Brock Lesnar off and got sent home by his father. 100% happened.
Yeah.
I have confirmation about that. That happened. That's not a rumor. Shane, I have been told in the past that Shane is not the adult in the room that we all thought he was. Shane is a mark for himself. And Shane
I can believe that.
Yeah. He goes when the picture of Shane and Tony Khan came out, by one of my contacts said to me, he goes, I would bet anything that if you backed that camera shot up in the middle of that table, there's a Tony Montana sized white mountain between them.
And I still think that it's very possible that Vince is involved in all these conversations too. Because if anybody's talking to Vince, if anybody is talking to Vince in that family, it's Shane. If anybody,
no, I don't think so.
No.
Vince sent him home. He fired him. Apparently, they've been on the outs ever since, from what I've heard.
But you have to remember too, they're the only ones that aren't in WWE. They're the ones who have something against WWE, and I think that could absolutely bring them back together. 100%, absolutely could.
No, I don't think. And if AEW
a fledgling wrestling company,
no. Them not liking WWE right now is what you're bringing.
Yeah, but AEW could get away with working with Shane. They cannot get away in any way, shape, or form with having anything to do with Vince.
Okay, we say that, but let's remember that Vince McMahon has liquidated all of his funds, so he's just got billions of dollars in cash sitting around. People think he's going to start a business or whatnot, and yes, Vince would never publicly work with AEW.
Right.
Could you imagine him floating some cash to where maybe, Alpha Corporation sends AEW a gift payment?
Or him just saying, hey, Shane, you know what would be funny if you go work for AEW? Let's take them out. Let's take trips out. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I mean, I've been hearing rumors that Vince is not doing so great right now, health-wise, too. So I don't know.
Hell, he doesn't look great.
I mean, we haven't seen him in how long. So, but yeah, I don't think there's anything to the Vince McMahon stuff, but Shane McMahon is only a matter of time.
Yeah.
All right. BT23 for $5 with Bad Blood probably being Punk Drew 3. Gunther, Sammy, Cody, possibly with RKO, hopefully Solo Roman for examples. Which match are you all looking forward to? I am very interested in the if they do Hell in a Cell with Punk and Drew.
Yeah.
They
broke the bracelet.
27th anniversary.
That's true.
Hell in a Cell. We're going back to Bad Blood. I think Punk and Drew tear it up.
And they broke the bracelet. The bracelet's gone. It's done. We don't have to worry about the bracelet anymore.
But what if they give the Hell in a Cell to Gunther and Sammy instead? Because if somebody else got it, Sammy would be sad.
Do not give me any more reason to extreme dislike Sami Zayn.
Sad Sammy. What about you, Alfred? What do you think? What are you most looking forward to for Bad Blood?
Definitely CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, they've been in this Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart universe, and I think it's going to be just right on track. It's just too perfect because I believe the Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood was held the same exact day that Bad Blood's going to be held this year. I think it's October 3rd. And so I think we're going to get callbacks to that match. Even, CM Punk falling off the cage. And if you remember, Shawn Michaels didn't fall off the top of the cell. He was like in the middle of the cell and he fell. And at the time, that's crazy. So maybe we'll get a spot like that. We're probably definitely going to get some blood. Maybe even it's an election year. Maybe Mayor Kane comes in there and tears the door off the hinges.
It's gotta be Mayor Kane.
You know what will happen? 100% somebody will beat up a cameraman.
Yes.
100% that'll happen.
I think you're going to see Shawn and Undertaker involved in the build in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just being interviewed about what Hell in a Cell is and how it affects you. They're not using the red cell anymore, right? They brought the silver one back last time. Right?
Yeah.
Have we seen a Hell in a Cell match post Vince?
I don't know.
I don't think we have.
They stopped doing
got rid of that.
Yeah,
the idea of just doing a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view just because.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the last Hell in a Cell that we saw though was the silver one.
Yeah, no, it was silver, and then Triple H put it away when he took over, which was
Right.
smart because
Okay.
everybody was Hell in a Cell fatigued anyway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you remember that was Triple H's match for quite a while, where he was trying to make it his match. It was the Undertaker's match, but Triple H was the one who constantly, yeah. Do they hate you, Mark? What about you, Dis? Which match are you most looking forward to?
I mean, obviously the Hell in a Cell. I was there for the first one. It'll be great to see another one. But you know what? I was in the Discord chat, and a lot of people were thinking I was going to be. I am not mad about Sami Zayn getting this match. Not mad at all about Sami getting this match
Because we know the outcome.
Because Gunther's got to get it. Yeah,
Right.
Gunther's got to get his job back.
Yes, yeah, he's got to get his win back. It makes sense from a storyline perspective. They leaned in a little bit to the underdog thing with Gunther saying, "Why would you deserve a shot?" And Sammy's like, "No, you can't do that. I beat you." So it's not about me beat you. I know I can beat you, and everyone knows I can beat you. So it's like they're dodging the underdog thing. And this is what Sammy should be, the jobber to the stars type guy, you know? So, I totally am fine with this match, but yeah, the Hell in a Cell is going to be amazing. And I really hope they only keep one. I don't want to see 2 Hell in a Cells. I really hope they stick to one.
Is anybody looking forward to Roman
We do
versus
not
Solo?
need. Not really.
Is that happening? I mean, they haven't, I don't think
you
that's
gotta
happening.
think that's where they're gonna go. But I mean, look, we do not need a women's Hell in a Cell match. Just because the Hell in a Cell is there in the building does not mean you need to have 2. You could put Rhea and Liv in a cell, on a pay-per-view down the line and not have a men's Hell in a Cell. Like, you don't always need to have 2.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that in terms of not having 2 Hell in a Cells. But having said that, to your point about Rhea and Liv, the story is every time Rhea tries to get her hands on Liv, she runs away. She's ran away from her countless times. So that is a stipulation that perfectly fits that feud.
You know what? As I was saying it, I was like, "Oh, that actually would work."
Yeah,
Well, old school cage,
but not on the same show.
Yeah,
they're not at Hell in a Cell level yet. They're old school cage. I say
about Lumberjill?
I say bring back Big Blue. But
I love
Big Blue. Yeah.
I love Big Blue as much as the wrestlers of the day hated it.
Liv could probably squeeze through the bars of Big Blue, though. That's the problem.
Probably.
Actually, watched Sid complaining about taking the superplex off of Big Blue over the weekend. And he superplexed me off that GD cage every night for a year. Of course, I left.
Oh man. Michael Podham for $1.99 says Trips watching and asking how Booker T's in 3 places. Yeah, everyone's making that joke. Mr. Grimy for $1.99 says, "Well, I was the first to report, even if it was wrong." John JID 999 for $1.99 says that nasty tongue wagging around, just ugh. John Williams for $5. Dave was a tabloid, not a journalist. His reports are what people tell him, what he thinks. It's why both WCW and WWE had an on and off relationship with him. Yeah, you know what? That is true. Yeah, he is more of a tabloid reporter and not a journalist because he just gets fed the gossip. He gets fed the dirt, and he gets it fed to him by people that have an agenda. You know, how many times over the years have wrestlers fed him a backstage story that makes them look better?
Yeah.
So
yeah, right.
It's why I said
the only time he's
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Dish.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
it's why I said
the
in my
only
little
time,
open letter. Go, awful, go.
On your mark, get set.
The only time he's really a journalist is when there is a passing of a wrestler or there's some real hard hitting, event or something happening of that nature. But his daily news and like current events type style of journalism, it is tabloid.
Yeah, it's why I said in my open letter that he should stick to the historical stuff and stay away from all of that now. He has no idea how to handle social media and how fast everything moves these days, and he's getting so much wrong. He just needs to completely stop. That's my opinion.
Yep.
Jackie Boy for £5 says regarding Dave's tongue, I think he's just down bad for Kenny. Also, I'm on the spectrum. How dare you insult us? I'm gonna make a mean tweet now. Just kidding. John JID 999 for $1.99. Danielson was reviewing UK snack food on YouTube for promotion of the show.
So
gotta be better.
Got to do better.
Yeah, really.
Really
Was Will Ospreay doing any sort of promotion? I mean, he is their.
Oh, that would have been far. That would have been far too much work. That would have cut in on his sleepy time.
Well, he doesn't do more than 32 hours worth of work in a week. Sorry, brother.
Producer AEW Neckbeards, wise man of the show, for $5 Canadian, says we don't like heavy metal, we don't like rock and roll. All we like to listen to is Barry Manilow.
All American boys.
LC Killer 17 for $2 says Movie Monster versus Solo Monster in Hell in a Cell.
Oh, wow.
Dr. 64 for $5. TK spoiling the Shane arrival is why he's a terrible booker. All that missed momentum for a holy bleep TV moment. I gotta agree, guys, because if Shane just showed up randomly, it was a surprise. People would have lost their minds.
And he wasn't even playing.
Now we all know it's coming.
I will push back on this because I actually think it's smart because you have to pop the rating. No one watches the show, so it's the ROH moment. The great matches happen in ROH. If no one sees it, did it really happen? Shane McMahon comes out on AEW TV, and they only get 650K. What was the point? At least now we're like that happened like almost over a month ago. We're still kind of talking about it. All I have to do is say Shane McMahon is coming, and that'll probably get them in the 800s. I don't think they're ever going to hit 1 million, but I think possibility of Shane coming at least gives them a night where they're back in the 800s.
But would that, if they released that photo and Shane showed up the next week, I would agree with you. But everyone now has had an opportunity to become accustomed to the idea of Shane McMahon in AEW. So therefore, I think it's not going to make as big of an impact anymore because we've all been telegraphing it for months. It's kind of like the Mercedes Mone thing where she made no impact on her arrival because everyone was talking about it for months before it happened.
They didn't promote that. And again, they
did it. And that's what I was going to get into in terms of he said, like, it's going to be, what do they call it? Big business. So he said a lot of things that the internet fans knew it was Mercedes Moné, but you can't tell me that if they would have said for months, Sasha Banks or the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné is coming to AEW, they would have sold more tickets. They would have done a better number. So what I hope doesn't happen is that he doesn't say at Grand Slam, here comes the money. Like you need to, if you're going to promote Shane McMahon, you got to say Shane McMahon's coming. Or just say a McMahon is coming to AEW. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
If you just want him to appear, then have him pop up on the Tron and say, next week, I'm in whatever lame city we're going to be in.
Yeah.
Well, remember back when Bischoff came in and what they did was they had Bischoff show up right before the commercial. Yeah. And Booker T said, tell me I didn't just see that. What Vince was doing was he was giving everybody a chance to call their friends and tell people that they're on their way. If Vince would have done that 6 weeks before Bischoff showed up, by the time Bischoff got there, because what you do is the second it happens, you go, okay, I'm going to watch the next show. You watch the next show. It doesn't happen. You watch the next show. It doesn't happen. You watch the next show. It doesn't happen. And then eventually you go, I'm not watching this crap anymore. And then you get to last week's Dynamite, the worst Dynamite I've ever seen in my life. And everyone stops watching. And that's where they are. There's no way
he hasn't said anything about Shane. They just leaked the photo.
I'm talking about
it worked because a month later we're still talking about it. When they turn around and they actually decide to, if he does this smart, and I know that I am throwing out a prayer on a wing, right? It's if he does it smart, that is almost oxymoronic when we're talking about Tony. But if they do this smart and they actually advertise it, it will be gangbusters for them. Yes. Because for the casual wrestling fan, the McMahon name carries a ton of weight. It doesn't matter which, when it comes to Shane or Vince, Shane's got an ego because Shane was the favorite McMahon for almost 20 years. So people, what do you mean? Why is Shane McMahon going to be over here? The curiosity factor will pull you in. I think you got to channel your inner Dr. Frankenfooter and wait for the Antissa. It's
how about that?
Sorry, I had to.
Knowing Tony, instead of announcing it, though, he'll name it Dynamite. Here comes the Monet, and then just assume everyone knows it means the chain's coming.
Yes. Well, no, But you know what? I think that remember, Tony is obsessed with the big swerve moment, like he's the big surprise moment, the holy ass moment. I think remember when Hulk Hogan was coming to WCW, they promoted the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm.
You got the ticker tape parade, the contract signing, and if Hogan's first appearance was Bash at the Beach, it telegraphed infinitely for that match with him and Flair. I mean, It was like they did not. It wasn't like Hogan just came out at the end of WCW Saturday Night or something like that and did a run-in. Like, they let you know Hulk Hogan is coming to WCW.
They played that perfectly, Marv, because then after that, you had all the wrestlers talking about it. You had the announcers talking about it for weeks on end. They were setting up opponents. I remember Macho Man one week was just like, was it Macho Man? I don't know who it was, but they
Hogan
had a lot
came
of
before
wrestlers.
Macho Man.
Right. So with Shane, for the Shane experiment in the AEW to be effective, he's got to be there every week. He cannot do this thing like Bret Hart, just showing up one week and then having his minions take over his talking points for him just because, the specter of Shane McMahon being in the company is good. No. Shane's got to be there every week to disrupt and to bring in those viewers. I still don't think he's going to get 1 million, even with advertising. It's worth a shot. But I have a feeling that Shane is going to show up, and then like the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he's not going to be there. And that's what I see going on with, Tony Khan booking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of also the way it was with Hogan at first. Hogan was not on every show, but I understand what you're saying. Moving on, Alejandro Melendez for $4.99 says, "Rejoice, everyone, for after a very dark Saturday, True Love's Sailor Liv and Tuxedo Dom trapped and defeated the evil Queen Rhea." So, I love Alejandro Melendez. He gives us a Sailor Moon inspired recap of the Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley feud every single week. But by the way, Alejandro, check out the video dropping tomorrow on Tooney Town Wrestling with which is our Mercedes Moné versus Britt Baker recap, because Mercedes in that video sings some songs off her new album, which it might be familiar to you. All right, so Gringo Brandino for $5 says, "Who else is pumped up for a potential Mean Street Posse reunion or remake in AEW?" Oh man, could you imagine if they put like Moxley and like Lashley and MVP in sweater vests?
Bring back Pete Gas. Pete Gas was the man.
Pete Gas
JBL, like,
ironically, but still over.
Didn't JBL
and for Lashley,
destroy them?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Lashley, the acolytes turn them inside out.
When he comes into AEW, he's got to smash everybody. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's got to come in there and wreck shop. I know.
Tony does not know how to book big men.
When Lashley puts over pockets, you will hear me scream.
I'll quit the business if it happens.
Yeah. Because I'm already irritated that somehow Hunter managed to botch bringing back MVP and Lashley when all everybody wanted to see was the Bloody Hurt Business come back, and he gave us Not the Hurt Business with the Street Profits, and almost turned them into Private Party. But now it's like, you blew this. Or like Lashley was super over. I get it. He's a big guy who can't really move like how he used to. But Lashley is also, apparently part Highlander, because no one actually knows how old he is, because he looks the same way he did over 20 freaking years ago, just with a little alopecia. So, I don't understand how Vince was able to get it right after a rocky start. That Lana Rusev thing was a little weird, but Vince got it right and Hunter got it just so wrong, and it's weird to me. It's just weird to me how they blew that.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree with you. But Tony does not know how to book guys that Tony does not know how to book guys that are bigger than that are bigger than Stone Cold Steve Austin sized. He doesn't know how to book a big monster, which is what Lashley has to be. And, you're just going to see him languish in AEW. You're going to see him go the way of every other big, enormous monster that's come in there. He'll be Jericho's bodyguard within 6 months. I guarantee it.
Oh,
because Jericho's going to attach himself to that Shane thing. BT23 for $10. I wonder with AEW's deal looming how WBD is going to go. I also wonder how many people that are part of WBD were under Turner because they would be wishing for the numbers Bischoff brought for WCW. I think that it's a much different atmosphere in cable right now, not to sound too much like Meltzer, but I don't think anyone's expecting them to come in there and do 5-6 million people.
No.
Because Raw's not even coming close to doing that. No, I think that I don't know the deal with them. I mean, I think Awful posted today like it's September 3rd. Do you know where your WBD TV deal is? It's just we're just not getting it. It's just not happening. Somebody said, one of the usual suspect journalists said, if you don't have a deal by Labor Day, it's time to start panicking. And well, Labor Day was yesterday, guys. So maybe it's time to start panicking. I don't know. I feel like the second he has a pen to paper with this, he's announcing it. But I also feel like they're going to announce it in a press release because that's what networks do. They don't, wait for it to be some kind of swerve thing at a pay-per-view. So anyone who thinks that's what Tony's doing, I got to, that's not how major corporations like this act. So what do you guys think? What's going on with this deal? Alfred, what do you think?
It is making me, in terms of from AEW's standpoint, a little nervous because between you and I've had a piece ready to go about AEW's deal that once it's announced, I'll just have to make a couple of nips and tucks and it'll be out there. But now it's getting to the point where I've had it ready for so long, I'm probably going to have to do a whole nother video because so many things have changed. There's so many dated references to the pay-per-views that were around at the time. So it's been a while. In April? Yeah. TV deals can fall apart. This happens all the time. And so in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that maybe they did have something that they're comfortable with and it fell apart. So they're back to square one. And the longer this goes on, AEW just had its biggest show. So now they're back to a rebuilding mode. And so they're going to have All Out and they're going to have these lesser pay-per-views and the TV is not going to be as hot. So hopefully this Shane McMahon debut is going to mean something, but the longer this gets stretched out, the worse for AEW because of the numbers they're doing, because of their live attendance has been very scary low. Even Dave Meltzer will tell you that. And AEW really needs to look to sign this deal as fast as possible because the longer time that goes by, the less money I think they're going to get.
And the less places they're going to have an opportunity to go to because what's going to be available if they go all the way to December and don't have a deal? Who's going to be there to negotiate with and to try to make a new deal with?
When does the current deal run out? Does it run out at the end of the year? Or is it just to the
according
end of
to
the
Meltzer? Yeah.
We're getting down to a wire. In terms of like marketing a switch to a new network, we're way late on this. Like you should be months and months in advance that you start marketing that you're going to be on a new network. But then again, we don't know. They might be staying on the same network. We'll see. You got to think that whatever they're offering, because you would think that Tony would just take whatever they're willing to give him to keep playing play ball here. But it's got to be what they're offering is not financially viable for the company regarding the huge contracts that he's just given out.
This is delusion and reality fighting to the death. They are in a death grip on Rockenback Falls, and it's not over until they both plummet into the water. I have a feeling that they got a deal a long time ago, and they were very unhappy with it. And Tony was delusional and thought that he could. Well, look at my washed-up WWE stars. I've got the guy who used to be Edge. I've got the broken-down equivalent of Daniel Bryan. I've got a guy that people used to call Dean Ambrose, and no one cares. But you should care because I care. Let's hug it out. And they're like, yeah, bro, you got to cut down this payroll and you'll be fine. And what did he do? He signed 50,000 more people. That roster is infinite now. So what are they going to do? I just don't. I think he has it. He doesn't have the number. He thought that someone might be interested, but here we are past Labor Day and no one's calling. You are the sorry, brother. You're the fat girl at the dance that no one wants to talk to, and you need to accept your place.
Mm-hmm. Well, real quick, guys, taking a quick break in this one because our friend Alfred Konuwa has to head out. We have appreciated having you here, my friend. Please tell the folks where they can find more about you and what you're doing.
Absolutely. Have a great time with you guys, and I will be back. I hope to see you guys back on there so all the Booker T's can get back together. But find Pro Wrestling Bits on YouTube. I'll have videos there. I have shorts there just about every day. Our community is hot. We do polls and all that kind of stuff. Obviously on Forbes, and then Twitter at This Is Nasty. But looking forward to what happens at Grand Slam and at Bad Blood, and we'll be back right on the show to talk to you guys because I always have a good time here.
We always appreciate having you here. The door is always open. You're always welcome whenever you'd like to come on. And yeah, I mean, keep up the great work, man, because you are one of the true voices out there that commands respect in the wrestling.
Appreciate it. Same thing for you guys. Seriously, I'm not just saying this. This is why I like coming on the show. Same thing for all you guys. I'm really proud of your guys' success, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.
Thanks. See you soon, brother.
Always a treat.
Peace.
All right. Okay, so back to what we're talking about here. It's got to be non-financially viable for that, because you think about the contracts offered to Okada, to Ospreay, and to Mercedes were so massively massive that he would need, and apparently he was banking on getting this multiple times bigger deal in order to justify those contracts. You got to think Daddy is not paying, is basically saying, hey, no, I'm not giving you more for this.
Do we ever think to consider that maybe Tony Khan is just a dumb guy? Like maybe like we always sit here and try to dissect him, and we always try to dissect him and try to figure out his reasons, but everything can always be explained by him just not being very smart. And I kind of think that's where we are now. Like the only thing that makes sense when you put it all together is that it's not just about not understanding the wrestling business. He's just not a very smart guy.
He didn't do his due diligence. That's just the bottom line. Everything was rushed in his world.
Well, I think
you're not wrong.
I think the fans, the soccer fans and the football fans' opinions of their other franchises give you a little bit of insight onto how they handle this. To me, Tony strikes me as a guy, if you ever just pop on his LinkedIn page, he lists everything that he does. He's a guy who likes telling everybody how much he's doing so that you don't have the chance to ask what it is that he actually does. Because again, for a guy who's so busy, sure does spend a lot of time on Twitter. And it's like, well, what have you really gotten for it? Your soccer fans hate you. Just for the sake of it's illegal to burn people at the stake is the only reason you're still alive in Jacksonville. All your connects that got you to the dance at TNT are gone. And to me, the first warning shot the first it's time to wake up moment should have been when they kicked you off of TNT and sent you to TBS. You got moved to the B network. And we carried on like everything was fine. And now here we are. We're really close to the end of the year. I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think that WBD unless their fight for the UFC is so incredible that the amount of money they spend is ungodly. Or if they lose it, I don't think AEW goes anywhere. If they get it, I think they keep AEW just for the sheer sake of sync. It is easier to advertise for the UFC on AEW because there's a little bit of crossover there. There's a built-in audience. But if they have to spend the tremendous amount of money, something's gonna go. Something's gonna go. And I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be negative because listen, we need AEW to do well. The hard fact is if AEW fails, no one else gets a chance in our lifetime. It's over. It doesn't matter how good the idea is. No other network is going to put wrestling on it if AEW drops the ball. So we actually need AEW to work. That's why we scream at it so much, because we don't understand how they're so bad at it, because wrestling isn't actually hard. But it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Well, Kev, speak for yourself. Because
we all know your feelings on this. You want
yes,
to go down.
That's why I'm not going to say too much. I mean, I don't think they're getting a WDB deal or WBD deal, and that's all I got, man. I mean, and I always say it, based on absolutely nothing that's concrete. I just look at the numbers. We look at history. Then we got to look at the man and be like, he can't last this long. I mean, I don't care how much money
I still think they will get a deal. I think they'll still get a deal because I'm sure there is a deal on the table from WBD. And I think that you're gonna hit the point where it's gonna be like, you know, with last call at the bar, you go home with whatever's around. You know, that's what's gonna happen. It's last call, and Tony's gonna take whatever pig he's got to take home, and
a half bottle of Stoli and peanuts. That's what he's gonna get.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. We'll see. John JID 999 for 199 says Dave Meltzer is Gollum. AEW is his Precious. Well, that is the closest thing to Tolkien we currently have on TV. So that, you know, good for him. Jackie Boy for £5 says at least it was snacks and not proper food. Seasoning is satanic in England. At least here in Scotland, we use seasoning mainly for haggis, which isn't bad. Ugh. I like haggis. I had haggis recently, a couple of years ago, and I ended up liking it. But Jackie, I did not know he was Scottish. So I'm glad.
You truly are a monster. Where these guys are from.
No, I love the Scotch. Highlander, man. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Jackie's a Highlander. I like it. Okay. Daniel Flores for $1.99. Oh, by the way, British food is disgusting. Just throwing it out there. Ooh. Whenever anybody wants to go eat at the Harry Potter places in Universal, I'm like, ew, why? If I wanted bland boiled food, I'd make it myself. It's just like toad in a hole. Why does everything have sausages in it? But Daniel Flores for $1.99. Pockets versus Kevin Apollo. I mean, we all want to see it. BT23 for $5. TK better know that if Shane comes, his father's name comes with it. Wondering if TK is expecting Vince's money because Shane doesn't have money like Vince. You're probably not wrong there, man. I could totally say that's the thing. The controversy is going to follow Shane because his name is McMahon.
What's
and
he
all
doing
people
now,
are going to have to hear, especially casuals. All they're going to do is, I mean, what, Shane?
Yeah,
I don't know, growing new legs.
Shane was bigging up a company just about a year ago that ended up being a scam. So he's probably not doing that well financially. Yeah.
Does he have stock in WWE at all?
I don't think so. I don't know. I know for a fact he was out promoting a company last year or the year before, and it came out in the news that it was a big, like it was a scam. So he's probably
FTX?
Not doing. No. It was something. It was something sports. It had something to do with like. No, it wasn't even sports. I'm not sure 100%. If you look it up, it's very public though. So
as of 6 months ago, Shane's worth is $200 million.
There you go.
In the grand scheme of Vince and Tony Khan, that's nothing.
Yeah,
true.
To us, that's a lot of money, and we'd kill for it. But for Vince and Tony Khan, that's chump change. So yeah, I mean, I don't think they're expecting Shane to come in and financially contribute. But MJG for $9.99 says very likely AEW WBD have a deal pending pen to paper and announcement, but to not know where it'll air in January is a bad look for a consumer product that has led to awful PR / the wrong kind of publicity. That's why I think they don't have anything inked. Because if they did, we'd know at this point.
Yeah.
Why are you sending super chats?
Because I didn't want to take away from the listeners what they were doing. So I thought if I was going to request we talk about something, I should do it the way they do. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Also, I like you. I thought I'd give you some.
I appreciate that, Dis. I really truly do. All right. So Dis says, Dis, why don't you just read it?
Because I can't see it. It's very small on my screen.
It says, how excited are you guys about Jack Perry getting a world title shot at All Out on a scale of the most to the mostest? Oh boy.
Gentlemen, discuss.
A guinea pig is neither Italian nor pork. Discuss amongst yourselves. Man, I am. There is nothing remotely compelling about Jack Perry in a main event world title match, and despite the fact that Bryan Danielson is going to take him out there and make him look like $1 million. Why? Like, we're gonna have to sit there and watch this because we're doing a live stream on Sunday for it. It is Sunday, right? This.
Yes. Oh no, I think yes. No, it's Saturday. It's Saturday because Collision's on Friday
Saturday?
this week.
Jesus.
Right,
Yeah,
whichever
Collision and SmackDown are going head to head this week. By the way,
I heard Brian Alvarez heard that this week might be a slaughter. I heard, but yeah, no, the Jack Perry thing, man. Oh man, you want to talk about misreading your audience? Nobody reacts to this guy. Nobody likes this guy. He's already got a belt. Why are you doing this?
It devalues his belt. It doesn't add value to his belt. It devalues his belt. It devalues the title shots that Darby Allin and Christian already earned that they aren't getting before Jack Perry does. It makes no sense. And it also took away from an otherwise the only decent segment on Dynamite this week, which was Bryan Danielson going out and announcing that he wasn't retiring. To, by the way, immediately they acted like they didn't know what was going to happen. Is he going to retire? Is he not going to retire? And then in the middle of his speech, right after he said he wasn't, Jack Perry popped up on the screen and said, well, if you're not going to retire, I'm going to challenge you. And then guess what? It was taped, and Jack Perry actually came in from behind, which means he somehow knew that Bryan Danielson wasn't retiring, despite the fact that the entire show they've been asking the question. It's a mess. It's awful. It's a terrible, terrible idea. It's not going to draw one view to the show. And it's just Tony's obsession with owning the internet. It's Coach Tony K. Mm-hmm. This isn't Tony Khan booking. This is Coach Tony K.
Right.
I think that Tony needs to justify the fact that he kept Jack Perry and fired CM Punk a year ago. And we have to then show why keeping Jack Perry was a smarter move than keeping CM Punk. So, in other words, we're going to promote the hell out of Jack Perry and make him a star, because that way Tony saw he saw the potential where no one else did, and he could be the star maker. Meanwhile, CM Punk is making a ton of money elsewhere right now. 1 year later, it has been a year since Brawl In and CM Punk's firing. So, oh boy, I don't know. Kev, what do you think about Jack Perry in a pay-per-view main event?
Oh, well, who cares?
Yeah.
Very insightful, Kev.
It really is.
What can I say that I haven't already said? Who cares about this little entitled loser? The Spiro Agnew has more charisma than Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Google it, kids. You'll get the joke after you see what I'm talking about. There's nothing there. He is another one who gets the anti-pop. I personally, I think Tony's delusional. I think that his doughy little old men who pretend that they're still boys. Don't you see how great this is? It's going great. You should put Jack in the match with Brian. And okay,
I think Brian put Tony up to this one.
I'm going to give you guys one better. He might win.
No,
he might win.
No.
Yeah, no, they might be. They might. I guarantee you, they want somebody in the Young Bucks camp to be AEW World Champion.
No, I think it'll be
because
Darby.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be Darby.
You think they're gonna put the main belt on that? Oh,
you were about to say,
Marv, we are not watching real wrestling. We are watching Make-A-Wish. We're watching Make-A-Wish participation trophy wrestling. This is for the victim weight losers who couldn't get booked anywhere else. Uncle Tony came along and threw a bunch of people who had no business being on the camera a shit ton of money to perform horribly. If you watch Collision this week, on 2 different occasions in 2 different matches, someone got dropped on their head and neck.
Yeah.
In one show. Usually you've got to go across the spectrum of the 3 terrible shows. We got it 2 times in one night, which means they're getting worse. I don't care how many times you send out Dustin to the hairs and everything's great and they love me. These guys are incompetent performers, and we have to pretend that this is something worthwhile watching. It's actually embarrassing to have to admit that you suffered through 6 hours of AEW television.
Did you watch Dynamite? Did you watch Dynamite this week?
Yes, I suffered through Dynamite, much to the horror of my wife.
It was awful. It was awful, incomprehensible.
Yeah, Dis, you said it was one of the all-time worst Dynamites. What did you mean by that, and why did you say that?
Because everything was worse than the last thing that happened. Like, it was building too bad. Everything, the whole time they were promoting this Bryan Danielson stuff, which ended up being a fart in church because of Jack Perry. You had Ricochet, who ended up just going out having a poor Ricochet match. He didn't do anything new except for a crotch chop. And then, but he botched a couple moves, and it looked like a sloppier version of Ricochet fighting someone who he has no chemistry with. You had meaningless matches all the way throughout. You had the Grizzled Young Veterans shot a promo backstage at All In that got interrupted by the Young Bucks. And then immediately after they showed that, they followed it with a promo from the Grizzled Young Veterans. So you get 2 Grizzled Young Veterans promos in a row. You had Mercedes Moné, who had a party backstage that consisted of 4 people with champagne glasses and her dancing around, and then she made boys fight over her.
Yeah.
This is
it was 90s adult cinema bad. Just to put the cherry on that cake. Go on, this. I preach, brother, preach.
It was awful. It was unwatchable, and it felt. And this is leading into. By the way, this is the show after their WrestleMania. This is the show after their WrestleMania. Don't
forget MJF and Daniel Garcia.
Oh yeah,
MJF. I mean, like, good Lord. You had Daniel Garcia come out there, and he was teasing a pile driver. Then he was just like, you know what? I think I'll go on the second rope and tease the pile driver there. He just happens to look back and see a bunch of jobber security guards coming towards the ring. So he didn't do that. Gave enough time for MJF to recover. MJF attacks him. And then they go to another promo. It was
and then
atrocious.
How about Mox at the end, where the cameraman, they made the cameraman do the thing where they talk, where they say, "Hey Mox, what were you talking about out there, buddy?" And then Mox turns around and beats up the camera. It was such a bad show. It really did feel, and I know this comparison goes out there a lot, but it felt like a bad episode of Nitro from 2000. That's what it felt like. Not a good. No, I'm sorry, Thunder. A bad episode of Thunder.
Thunder. Yeah. Without the reprieve of the Natural Born Thrillers showing
or
up.
Crowbar. Yeah, you didn't get Crowbar out there.
Yeah.
So
There was no Crowbar and Daphne and no Natural Born Thrillers. Not even Kevin Nash on commentary. It was just. It felt like a punishment handed down from the devil, and you're like, I don't know what I did to get it, but I got it.
That's because Tony can't see past the next show. He doesn't know how to write in 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 week increments. He's always.
Oh, but Brian Alvarez tells me it's all long-term storytelling.
Well, he's lying, according because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can't book past. Like when they did All In, he couldn't book past that. And I think I told you guys in the private chat, I think his entire crew was tired, and you could see it in the construction of that television show.
Yeah, I think so. I think that to work for that company and not be a wrestler being paid millions of dollars to mark out for themselves has got to be a miserable experience for every single professional, every cameraman, every every official, every catering person. It's got to just be the worst place to work if you're not, one of those people.
Especially if you've come from WWE. Like, you see the rehearsals, you see the time stamping, you see the where you're going to stand. You know what I mean? Like, coming down the aisle, hey, you could be sure to look at this camera, be sure to face this way, all that. And the referees also put a lot of work into that too. But in AEW, oh my God, it's like a 3-ring circus.
Well, listen,
It's
let's
terrible.
Ref Jess versus whatever her name is, Horseface. The Ref
Aubrey.
Ref Jess. You don't know she's there. She doesn't blow. Like, what do we watched we watched Mrs. Ed step over someone's rope for a rope break. Like what?
She missed the rope break and then stepped over it to call for the bell.
Yeah. What?
Did that happen on Dynamite this week?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It sure did.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, hold on, a couple more super chats to get to before we close out for the night.
Oh geez, is it that time already?
So yeah, well, we're closing at 10 tonight. So Shaggy Phil 73 for $10 says, if Shane is AEW bound, I better hear all those media mucks like Thurston ask Tony and Shane Vince questions at every scrum. Yeah, that's what I said, because I was trying to put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. When's the last time you heard from your father, Shane? What do you thought? Did you know anything, Shane? Like, all the questions they asked Triple H should then get asked to Shane McMahon, because he actually has the McMahon name.
They'll ask him. They'll set it up completely to have him be asked that question, and then he'll go off and talk about how disgusting it is and how he can't believe that other family members aren't commenting on it, to make Shane the face in the situation and to heel out Stephanie and Triple H. That's exactly what will happen.
I don't know about that. I don't think he's going to be as vicious as you all seem to think he's going to be. I think there's still his family. I can't imagine. Can't imagine going out there and attacking your own family.
If he's doing it by going to AEW, that's what he's doing.
Not necessarily.
Not really.
That's just that's just him doing something for himself, because Tony probably offered him an obscene amount of money.
That's true. But the McMahons, that's the game all the McMahons play, and they get it. And it probably won't hurt Stephanie's feelings, because that's how Vince raised them. Vince never cared if anybody said anything bad about them. You know, Vince wanted his guys to do it.
And who knows? Who knows if Shane and Steph are even still in the will. So you know, do whatever you have to do to ensure your future. And I could see him being buried with all his money, like the pharaohs of old. Like, just
find it. There's a map. It'll be like national treasure.
Oh no. He buries it somewhere in Connecticut, and they have to go on a major, they have to race for it. Whoever gets there first wins.
He leaves all his money to Johnny Yates. That's who gets his money.
Oh God.
Bruce I told him he was vascular so many times. LC Lady Killer 17 for $5. If AEW fails, there's going to be a lot of people who'll be angry at TK, and I believe he can't handle it. I mean, that is true. We saw the way he handled the Punk fire. Oh, no, remember the way he handled the Punk firing the night afterward? Right. When he came out there and sat in the chair and then cried because the fans were booing him because they blamed him. He couldn't handle it.
Let me tell you guys a story. Yeah.
Miss October 30 for $199 says, I literally screamed no when Jack Perry appeared. I think a lot of people did. A lot of people did.
I did. I literally did.
Jackie Boy for £5 sterling says, now I know you're Scottish. We took all this stuff from other countries, but we never took good seasoning. I need to add my own sorry for turning this into the food channel. I don't know if you sound like that, Jackie, but you know, I'm hoping you do. Otherwise, I was just offensive. No, I say it all the time. England conquered the world for spices and then decided, you don't need to use any of those. But Andre Adams for $4.99 says Jack Perry built like he hides in the bushes for no reason. I love a good Andre Adams comparison like that, because he gives the best ones. He gives the best ones. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we got about 15 minutes left. Do we try to finish up Morton Downey this week, or do we push it to next week?
If we do this, can we just be done with it?
I kind of just want to. I kind of want to just get it over with.
I don't want to do it.
Me too.
So and if we can't get it done in 15 minutes, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I saw the rush of super
one.
chats, and I thought maybe bump it, but you know what? You're right. That's what we should do.
No, we're done. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, unless people are going to be more generous, we'll hit that at the end of the on the other side. So let's do this. Let's finish this up. All right, here we go. Morton Downey.
Crotch deodorant? What's happening in the chat?
I don't know. I try not to pay attention.
What was the guy in the mask for?
Yeah, I would like to know who the random masked man is.
It wasn't even a wrestling mask. It was a ski mask.
Apparently, we stick on this for so we don't have nearly as much time as I thought we did.
Okay,
because
let's finish it.
Well, if wrestling is supposed to be real, why doesn't Las Vegas take action on it?
Why doesn't Las Vegas take action on it? They did in the Andre fight. Andre Hogan. They turned around certain people to take action on it. Certain people call it sports entertainment. Anything you want to say. I say they overmatch, which I do admit to. They overmatch.
Another question. Before every match, it's an exhibition. Why?
You want to call it an exhibition? There were plenty of matches that go in the ring. Hold on, I got the answer.
All right, so we're taking questions from the crowd now. Schultz might actually snap somebody's neck. Please tell me they've got Schultz tranked or just off the set at this point, because this guy asking how come Vegas doesn't take action on it, Schultz should twist his head off.
Basketball wasn't fair. Professional exhibition football. Wait a minute.
We'll be back in just a second. Get this camera on. We'll be back in a minute.
What?
Some of the guests of the Morton Downey Jr. show stay at the Meadowlands Hilton.
This is easier than I thought. This was
No, we're coming back.
Wait a second, Lou. Wait a second. Let me ask Jim what this picture is here. Hold that picture up. Camera, can you see that? Camera, get that picture. Turn the camera on. Get the picture. He's out of the match. All right, okay.
Is that two? Is that Mr. Wrestling too?
It looks like that's his mask. I mean, it looks just like it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's him.
Who is it? Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
The President of the United States of America, okay? He's
Jimmy Carter.
I can give you some background on it.
That's right. Go ahead.
Wait, what was that?
I can give you some background on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Jimmy Carter was a massive wrestling fan, and Mr. Wrestling #2 was his favorite wrestler. When they invited him to the White House, he almost didn't go because they told him he had to take off his mask, and he's like, I'm not doing that. And then when Jimmy Carter found, they're like, no, you let Mr. Wrestling 2 show up here as Mr. Wrestling 2. It even says Mr. Wrestling 2 on his White House guest pass. I wrote an entire paper.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Yeah. You don't have to even bother checking in for weapons because that knee lift is already a deadly weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
All right, quick. We don't have much time.
He's got a stranglehold on a guy that I was in the business with the very first time I got in.
So what?
So what I'm trying to say is we are in the process of unmasking the politics of pro wrestling.
What a dumb thing. What a dumb thing to say, because it was just hack. It was just a hacky statement. Terrible.
You know he was so proud of that too.
What?
You know he was so proud of that too.
Oh, he came in here with that all prepared. He had the picture and everything. Schultz just looked completely disgusted.
When I see pictures
Jimmy
Carter like that,
you bring a picture of Jimmy Carter into my presence? Oh my God.
makes me wish I was a basketball player so I could have slam dunked them. Doc, okay, I just want to. I want to say,
minute, pal.
I want to
say
here
one
we go.
thing.
First thing, a while ago, this man said that I was prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced. Right now, I'm a professional bounty hunter. I go and pick up criminals off the street, and they're white. They're white. They're garbage, and I lock them up, and I take.
And they're white. I beat the hell out of their white asses.
But if they're black, I'll take them out back.
they never make it.
Man, the Puerto Ricans, Chinese, Japanese, I don't care. And they're out here arguing and bitching about somebody kicked them out of the business. I was
put under the business. Nobody wants to use me.
You want to
Nobody
wrestle
wants
him?
I
You
want
want to wrestle him? You want to wrestle him? You want to wrestle him? Wait a second. You want to wrestle him?
Oh my God, this just degenerates into just like nonsense screaming.
Yeah.
Albano's trying to get in there. Morton Downey Jr. keeps saying you want to wrestle him. Schultz looks like he's about to choke him. Look at his hands there. He's dying to hurt this man.
And the guy in the middle looks like a painting at this point.
Yeah.
I won't get a match. Don't take all. Give the money to
You and me.
Going pro wrestling to see some of the meanest, nastiest villains around today. You know what? You gotta love them. Doesn't matter whether it's real or fake.
So Downey is doing his like closing statement, and Albano is screaming about whites and blacks in the back.
Final thoughts with Morton.
That is quintessential Downey Jr.
The opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the producer of this station.
Killing anyone. I'll see you, fella.
He's still screaming.
That's how all they went out, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they all just screamed.
Oh man! All right, guys, we got through it.
Just walk away.
We finally got through it. John J. at D999 for $199 says, "Where can I find more about the Wrestling 2 story? You mean just about like Wrestling 2 in general? Like, go watch some old Mid-South. He's one of the main guys over there.
Yeah. If you want to learn about that story in particular, go to Pro Wrestling Stories, the website. Look up Mr. Wrestling 2. There's a whole article about him protecting his gimmick, and they talk a lot about the Jimmy Carter stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, 2 is such a fascinating wrestler. I mean, who knew that like back then, a guy who an old man in a lucha mask and basically a white trunks look like a diaper, calling himself Mr. Wrestling 2 was the most over baby face. And then he turns heel on Magnum TA in the 80s and is monstrously over as a heel. Just incredibly over. I mean, look, I love watching old territory stuff because it's the kind of wrestling that I like, but I haven't seen it. So, like, to me, it's brand new. Like, I'm watching Jim Duggan matches that I've never seen before, Ted DiBiase matches that I've never seen before, Junkyard Dog matches and stuff like that. It's really, really good.
Talking about those matches. If you want to check out those matches, in a modern style, just turn your YouTube up, with the speed level to like two times its speed.
You know what? Sometimes these guys pull out some things that you're like, wow, if somebody did that today, it would get such a huge pop because like, I truly feel that way because it's creative stuff that looks devastating that you don't see anymore. And yes, some of the stuff will surprise you too. So I highly recommend that. I've been trying. Mid-South is the one I've been mostly watching, but I also definitely recommend any of the territories. They're all fantastic. You can catch them all on Peacock. Go ahead.
I saw Luthez do an elbow. It was a very unique elbow. So what he'd do is he'd take his elbow and jam it in the guy's face, and then he'd do this. It was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
They got to bring that stuff back.
That's like a cool heel maneuver. I could see that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You want to talk about heat, by the way? You're talking about Mr. Wrestling. I believe. Does everybody know who Mr. Wrestling 3 was?
No.
Bob Casey? I don't know.
Vince Russo was Mr. Wrestling 3.
What?
Yes. In TNA, Vince Russo was Mr. Wrestling 3. He got pulled out the old Mr. Wrestling mask and he came out and they called him Mr. Wrestling 3 for weeks. And it turned out to be Vince Russo.
Oh my God.
Did they actually bring 2 in or were they just being disrespectful?
No, they were just being disrespectful. Oh, Vince Russo was being disrespectful.
You gotta think
he just wore the mask. Is as disrespectful as Edge and Christian being the conquistadors.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess two died recently. I think within the last couple of years, 2 died.
Right.
It was pretty recent. So he lived a long life.
I got it. It was an interesting statement because it was during the Sports Entertainment Extreme thing. So it was Russo saying that he is what encapsulates wrestling now. It kind of jumped the shark though when Nikita Koloff came in and was Mr. Wrestling 4. That was when it
Sports Entertainment Extreme SEX. Get it,
guys? It's a swerve, bro. Look at the girl in the cage.
Gifted Glenn Gilberti. Gifted
Ernest Cruz
Glenn
is saying 2 died in the late 2010s. I thought he died. I thought I remember seeing recently that he had died. Hold on a second. Let me look it up.
It's a
if that's the case, then I'm wrong.
Relatively, he's still alive.
Hmm?
Demolition Axe, is he still around?
No, he died. He died June 10th, 2020, at 85 years old. Mr. Wrestling 2.
I'm pretty
I mean,
sure.
to be fair, Ernest. Yeah, Axe is alive. To be fair, Ernest is a year off. So I mean, he said late 2010.
I remember
2020.
Right, I remember because like I had first gotten on Twitter, like back during the pandemic era and stuff like that, and I remember calling Kevin and losing my mind because when Mr. Wrestling 2 died, people were like, oh, he was racist. They were like just disrespecting the crap out of him. And like, that's like one of my heroes. Like, I was like, I will not stand for that. Because, nobody was bringing any receipts. It was just, he said, she said. But
Right.
yeah, no, Mr. Wrestling 2. I mean, I the first time I heard of him and saw him, I was like, what the heck is this? And then the more I watched him Mid-South, the more I was like, this guy's it. This guy's legit. All right. Well, we're about to end. So we're gonna be redirecting you guys at the end here to a That Park Place stream that I'm gonna be on at 10 o'clock. We're gonna be talking about the new Harry Potter experience at Epic Universe at Universal, and then we're gonna be giving a review of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, which I attended the other night for opening night. And so, we'll be talking a lot about that. But Dis, tell us more about where we can find you and everything you and your son got going on over at Maxed Out Media.
Hey, yeah, we actually started working on a video. Couldn't quite get it done in time before he had to go back to school today, but that should be up this weekend. And also AEW Disciplinary on Twitter. You can find me there. And if you'd like to join the Discord, that's where you can do it. Go to Twitter at AEW Disciplinary, and it is in my profile. We're having a lot of fun over there. Did a Raw chat last night. John JID is doing a fantastic job, as are
He really is.
Yeah, he really is. So go check. We definitely do Raw and SmackDown every week, and then sometimes I'll sprinkle some AEW chats in there too. But there's always some chat going on in general. So
Awful. What do you got coming up for your next video over there on Twitter X?
I would like to say, it's going to be a shock to him, but I'd like to do another collaboration with AEW Disciplinary Committee on another video. But you can also check me out on X. And I greatly appreciate you guys first and foremost, and everybody else who got me to 10,000. I had no idea that it would come this far. But thank you guys very, very much for having me on. Thank you guys for supporting the project. And before you guys all go, please hit that like button on Marv's channel right now before we're out of here. But thank you, Kev. Thank you, Dis. Thank you, Marv. Thank you. AEW Neckbeards as well.
Yes, huge thank you to AEW Neckbeards, the wise man of our show, the producer, man in the chat in there, and he's getting a little bit of help because I just made John JID 999 a moderator in our chat. So
yay!
He didn't know. He might not even want the blue wrench, but you know what? He got it. So, but yes, all hail our wise men. Thank you so much, Beard. You are an invaluable part of this show, and we love you to death. So Kevin Apollo, what else you got happening besides wrangling cats and bears and dogs and kids and everything else under the sun?
I got some shows coming up. I'll give the dates next week once I have them, and then
the big break is over.
Yeah, I gotta get back to work. And then I'll see you guys on Thursday, and then
yes, Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night. Other than that, I don't know. You'll see me on Twitter irritating somebody.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Thursday night over there on Tooney Town TV. Kevin and I host Tooney Talk TV Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you guys will join us over there. We're also launching channel memberships over on Tooney Town TV, which includes a weekly members only live stream, and one of the tiers you actually get to come on the live stream with us and be on the panel. So it's an audio only, but you get to come on and have conversations with us as part of that. So check it out. It's going to be launching on the 5th of September over there on Tooney Town TV. All right, guys. Well,
one more thing. All Out.
Oh,
we need to
go ahead. Yes, this weekend, this Saturday, we will be live streaming AEW All Out. We hope to see you guys there, as we are going to be watching the show, providing commentary, eating bad food, and watching some hopefully not so bad wrestling. So fingers crossed that we might be able to salvage some of this. But we will see you guys there, and sending you over to that Pac place currently. Thank you guys so much, and thank you to everyone who super chatted tonight for your wonderful generosity. From all of us here at the Tooney Town channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!
Now, bury the platypus. Feel the wrath of my thank you-inator.
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing. Thank you.
I got a little message. Thank you. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for what? Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you.
And viewers like you.